Welcome to Exploring Planetary Well-Being, a collective quest for a better world. And I want to give big thanks to Barb for allowing me to be with us today, to be sharing today, and super excited to be here. And I'll share a little bit about myself, do a little introduction, and then we'll move into the topic at hand. So I think what I'd like to do, and I have to admit, big disclaimer, this is the first time I've ever used this Prezi video is what this is called. So this is my first time with all this little stuff on the side where you can see me, and you'll also be able to see some visuals as we move through it. And I think seems really exciting, so I'm looking forward to it, and I know it might have some fits and starts as we move through it. So I'd like to go ahead and move a little bit forward here and invite you into just an idea of what we're going to be doing today. This is our agenda. This is our introduction. We'll do a little grounding in human needs. Then we'll also work through a couple frameworks for gauging well-being and have a discussion about those. And then I have a big question for you all that will come from what I expect to be an answer to a well-being question. And then I'll have an invitation for you. So that is the agenda. And now I'd like to move into the welcome portion of the session and tell you why I'm here and a little bit more about me. And I get a drink first. So I'm here first because I have just freed myself or been freed from about an 18-month depression. I have a history of depression, and it was a difficult time. I'll talk about it a little bit more. And I'm really thrilled because whenever I come out of a depressed period, I have a lot of energy and clarity about what I want to be doing. So I do feel like this little butterfly on the screen that I'm really coming into a new world and wanting to make some significant changes. And I've been, for really the last 3 months, reading a lot of books, probably over 35 books about the state of the world and different frames about what's not working well and what might be changed. And I've also talked with probably 30 or 35 folks in Flagstaff about that same issue to get their thoughts and to connect with them around what they see as possible solutions to change our world. And I acknowledge that I have great, immense privilege. I'm a white man in a white supremacist culture. I've been able to be educated in this culture. My health is relatively well, save these periods of depression. That's not a privilege by any means. And the other recent privilege is that my father passed away a year ago in October, and he used the privilege of a lot of folks had access to in the 20th century to save money, to do really well. He was also a depression child, so he didn't like to spend money. So he ended up with quite a bit of money when he passed away, which was pretty cool. And so with that privilege, I don't need to run out and get any old job. I'm in this place where I can take my time to critique our culture, to look very intentionally at what's working and what's not, and focus my energy on what I want to focus on without having the constraints that most folks have in our culture, folks that don't have that great privilege. And one conclusion that I've made in all that research I've done is that our problem is that it's a failure of systems, a failure of a range of systems that result in all sorts of problems, climate change just being one, inequality, our election problems that you're all aware of, ecological destruction. There's a myriad of issues. And for me, the solution needs to be people coming together. And that's why I use this little little sticker here. The solution needs to be a mass movement. So today I'm going to frame some reasons why folks might be interested in that, and exactly make an invitation for you to join me in creating that. All right, so I want to talk about our purpose directly here. To work together to gauge planetary well-being, to consider the reasons why the world is as it is, to consider the pros and cons of changing the world, and then to consider my invitation to act collectively. So that's our purpose, and in terms of our process, how things will work, I'll be inviting exercises and invite your participation in those, and then we'll do a little harvest and discuss reactions. And just want to be clear, if you haven't discerned this already, I'm not an objective presenter here. I feel that our world is in crisis, and I'm not presenting, my intent isn't to present so that you enjoy this hour and a half and go home and forget about it. That's exactly the opposite of my intent. My intent is to start you on a process of, and maybe continuing a process you might already be doing, of really deeply considering what you might want to do to change our world. So that is my agenda, and I'm going to go back to this and turn off so we can see each other. And let's see here, and I'm gonna allow you to unmute and just wonder if anyone has any questions, and I think you can just speak into the space if you have any questions about the introduction. All right, super. That means I'm doing a good job and we're on time. Okay, awesome. So let me throw this back on there, and we'll move to, I guess we have the question there now that we've completed the introduction. Are you ready to dive in? By show of hands, you can use the little reaction smiley face on the bottom, or just raise your hand, whatever you want to do. Great. So is anyone not ready to dive in? Okay, absolutely awesome. So let us keep moving. All right, so we're back to our agenda in the lower right, and now we're going to move to part 2, which is grounding in human needs. And many of you know me. I know I don't know some of you, but those that do know me know that much of my work is using the nonviolent communication model, which I've found is the best tool to enable both a connection to oneself and a connection to others, and an ability to resolve conflict and work across differences. And all of those skills are essential to the movement that I'm hoping to create. So I wanted to introduce you all to human needs, and this is a needs list. I actually made a bunch of these, and had we been meeting today, each of you would have one of these lists. But in lieu of that, I want to just walk through what exactly needs are in this model, and then invite you to see one outcome of a use of human needs. So as it says there, needs are the resources needed to sustain life. Everyone has the same ones, and they make no reference to a person doing anything specific. They can be met in many ways. And one thing that I've found again and again, when we're aware of our needs, when we know what we're needing, whether we actually can get it or not, we have energy. They give us vitality. When we're connected to life energy. Really important. And I've lost my little thing. It tells me to go to the next page. There we go. And my sense, this is a crash course in oneness as I see it. One of the needs that we have that I highlight here is we have a need for others' well-being. So just consider that for a minute. Our needs aren't just for us, but they're for others. And an example that I would give is if my wife were sitting in the room with me, perhaps the window might be open, and if she were to say, Dave, you know, I'm freezing. It is cold in here. I am really cold. So she has a need for comfort, and I have a need for her comfort. So if I say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll close the window, I'm acting not on my own need to contribute, which is another important need. I'm acting on my need for her well-being. So if we extend that vision, if we extend that practice, we're connected to everyone, to all of life. And for me, it means that I can't be truly happy if you're not happy. And I can't, extending it even further, which we'll be talking about, I can't be truly happy if the forests, the oceans, excuse me, and all life on Earth isn't happy. So that's an important frame that I'd like to bring to our work today. And moving on here, so that's our grounding and universal needs. All right, so again, this is our web. This is our web of life that we're all connected with. And I think that's a root concept that's important for me as I consider changing the world.